Top of the day to all of you. Welcome, Nurul. We're back again to our discussions, regular discussions. I would like to talk about the nuclear plants today, about Russia's nuclear plants. And since you're from Kazakhstan, I think you will be the best specialist to talk about it. Thank you. The floor is yours.
Well, definitely. Thank you very much, Chairman. We have again started this series of the talks. I think it's very useful. It's very interesting for me personally, for you as well, I guess, because we are trying to discuss very important issues. Some things are spoken, some are not, and we're taking it easy in a non-formal discussion. So back to the main issue. On the October 6th, President Tokayev scheduled to hold public referendum to decide whether to build nuclear power station, or not to build. And as the practice shows in Kazakhstan, all sorts of elections and referendums so far have been full of falsifications, and I can tell that for sure because I was part of the election observation groups for many years, observing elections in Kazakhstan at various levels, starting with Nazarbayev's era. And since he's gone, there's been a number of elections that I physically did not observe, but there was a number of people who I trained to be an observer for these elections. And as a matter of fact, this was not held transparently. These elections were not near to the international standards of free and fair elections, unfortunately. So basically, what I want to say is that this referendum is kind of show that central authorities want to exhibit to the world, to say that here's what we've done. We talked to the people, and the people of Kazakhstan said, yes, we need to build nuclear power station. Unfortunately, and maybe fortunately, actually, to a certain extent, there's a number of there's actually electoral degree of voters understanding of the situation. It's not like they just don't understand things. There is understanding of voters that nuclear power stations are preconditioned to be built by Rosatom. It's a big Russian nuclear company that has been already having deals with Kazakhstan for many years. Recently, we've observed a lot of corrupted deals that Rosatom has with central authorities of Kazakhstan, because they've bought two largest in the world uranium sites in Kazakhstan to extract uranium. And yeah, that's another issue. We can talk about it later, but that's also concerning. So Rosatom is preconditioned to actually construct this nuclear power station. And many people in Kazakhstan don't like this idea because since war started and society in Kazakhstan, civil society in Kazakhstan, understood the real intentions that Putin has, they support more Ukraine, and they don't want to support all the negative things that comes with Russia. Obviously, nuclear power station is one of the things, is one of the links in the total chain of authoritarian deals, I would say, in our Central Asian space. So once this referendum will be held, results will be announced, and of course, the falsified results will say that the people of Kazakhstan decided that they want to build this nuclear power station. Kazakhstan will go ahead and start construction with Rosatom, this nuclear power plant. One very bad thing that we have with this nuclear plant, it's going to be built on one of the largest lakes in Kazakhstan, which is called Balkhash, maybe about 200 kilometers from Almaty, not very far from the former capital, which is also very dangerous. We have a lot of cases where the nuclear power stations or plants are being mistreated. Like we have a situation where Chernobylskaya AES in Ukraine was blown due to negligence. and also it comes, of course, everything was centrally organized from Russian authorities. Then we have cases, well, internationally too. I must say that there are cases of nuclear power stations being more dangerous source of energy than natural sources of energy like sun, solar energy, water, water energy, water generation, hydropower energy. So I would say that it's a dangerous thing for Kazakhstan to have this nuclear power plant not very far from the large cities. It will definitely affect flora and fauna of the lake. So in terms of like thinking for the future of our children and economy in general, the nature, it's a very dangerous and bold step. I would say there are things that you have to put on the scales before you take a decision. And you should not jump to like if you have a brotherhood relations with Russia to immediately decide to build a nuclear power station with them. You can show all sorts of figures to people explaining that nuclear power is very cheap and necessary for Kazakhstan, but still the loss outweighs the gain. So overall, it is a very dangerous project, and many people are not supportive of nuclear power station in Kazakhstan. In terms of how did I arrive at these answers is quite simple. We've implemented some sort of survey recently to understand what the people building and what and how they're going to react during referendum. And one of the things people said is that they will vote against, will come to the polling stations to vote against the building of the nuclear power plant, especially with Rosatom. Although authorities don't say it openly, of course they'll say they will conduct a tender, they will invite all the other countries, but it's quite understandable already that there is a direct order from Kremlin to President of Kazakhstan to obey and to make this project happen, because it is very profitable for Russians to have nuclear power plant very next to their air base, which is located in Kazakhstan as well. It's called Sarashagan. It's one of the testing sites. Russian ballistic missiles are being shot even right now, and they land in Sarashagan. They're testing the ballistic missiles. If let's say one of these missile is going to hit power plant, what's going to happen? So I mean, it's all so messy, and for Russians, they think it's a great project. They can move their resources. They will get more business from Kazakhs, more money. They will be able to sell electricity. It's not only Kazakhstan. Russia will probably jump in as well. I don't know what the deals would be like, but definitely those who build power station will benefit from that. There is a lot of disadvantages for Kazakhstan, as you can see, and people of Kazakhstan, although they formed an opinion against the nuclear power station, they are not able to sort of join their hands to push through their message and being heard. Again, referendum is something that authorities have suggested, and they're going ahead with implementation of referendum. But I don't think it's something that the people of Kazakhstan approve. So I would say, if we can speak about this scenario, if voters, Kazakhs, will come to the polling stations and vote against building a construction of nuclear power plant, what will happen then? If they don't accept results of elections, they might be coming out to the streets, because it can be a very important point, like pivotal point in the democratic history of Kazakhstan as well. So I would say authorities are playing with the fire. right now. So that's in general what I can tell you right now, what I feel from my heart about nuclear power plant building.
Thank you so much, Nurul.
Hmm.
That was very extensive. I have a couple questions, I guess. I mean, of course, Russians will be for it and happy for it because they're not there. All
Hmm.
they care is about themselves, and they don't care about the health, environmental issues, or anything, as far as we know, right? There were so many mutations and those kind of cases in the past that we know of, or how many cygox, the animals, have been killed,
Yeah.
have been found dead, the ones that are in the red book. But I have a question on
Hmm.
the other. I mean, we'll talk about the
Excuse me.
environmental. Right now, I would like to ask you about civic society of Kazakhstan, how
Hmm.
strong it is, what have they done in this respect. And
Hmm.
also, I've read just recently that some of the activists came out to the street, protested, and they were already taken in and arrested.
Hmm.
And they apparently were trying to accuse them of extremism, maybe, and that they are disrupting the society, that they are trying to cause uprisal,
Hmm.
and thus it seems like even activists are not able to do anything. Is there any way for the civic society to have a voice in nowadays Kazakhstan? And I mean, if there is a referendum, if people even vote against it, will the results of that vote be accepted?
That's a great question. Thank you for bringing this up. It's a very complicated question because problem of the civic participation in Kazakhstan has been lagging for many years. Uh, Not that Kazakh civil society is passive or not trying to do something. Civil society is there. And I was trying to say that not that civil society is not trying to do anything. Civil society is definitely trying to educate voters about the problem with construction of the nuclear power plant at this point. But the problem is that the civil society is so disintegrated, and it is thanks to Nazarbayev's era that spent so many amounts of money to bribe people, to put in prison, to buy special things to basically disintegrate civil society. This sick legacy is something that Tokayev has in his hands right now. We all thought that with new Kazakhstan, Jana Kazakhstan, that Tokayev has announced recently, relatively recently, that we will see many changes. But to be honest, all the changes are all cosmetical. So whatever happens, he's just making it for the show, to show the West, and he's good at that. He's a diplomat, so he wants to show the West that he's been uh, democratic. He's consulting with people, but at the same time, nothing changes. So he is deploying all the lessons that he received from Nazarbayev to suppress civil society, plus the tools he has in hands, inherited it from Nazarbayev. So he's continuing arresting people, like you said, people, trying to visit people's places. Uh, I mean, they're just knocking on the doors. Police people show up. Prosecutors start bothering people. I mean, it's yourself. I mean, they came to me even. They sent this subpoena to me
Yep.
to show up. So I mean, it's true. I cannot hide this. I mean, this is what happened is what happened. So I mean, they're freaking out before the construction of the nuclear power plant. So they want to silence civil society as much as possible. So there is this fight going on right now. Now, There is another layer of activists who want to be election observers or referendum observers. They are also being suppressed by authorities. They want to come to observe how the referendum process is going on. So that's a different group of people. They're also experiencing difficulties with state authorities. Third group would be the ones that who are trying to call for boycott, and it's connected mainly to the opposition leader, so-called opposition leader, I would say, Blazov, who is urging people to boycott the referendum. On one hand, I think it has some reasoning, but on the other, if you analyze it deeply, by boycotting, you distance yourself from the political processes, from the responsibilities that you have for your own country. You may not mind what authorities do, but you have to mind what they do with your lives. So that's what they're doing, with the referendums, with elections. So you have to participate in those. And if these processes are all falsified, then you have to take an active role into, making demand the truth, I would say. And then you can apply different tactics like going to the streets, organizing whatever. I mean, I don't want to say and suggest to people what to do. Everybody knows themselves how to express their anger. Unfortunately, we have experience of Kantar recently, these January events where people were shot on the streets, where Tokayev invited CSTO, ODKB in Russian, military forces, joint forces to come and shoot Kazakhs on the street. Well, Kantar translates January from Kazakh language, and we refer to it as Kantar events because it happened in January, when there were riots on the streets. There were like hundreds or even thousands of people coming to protest rises of the prices for the natural gas. I mean, like utility, gas supply to your houses. All of a sudden, son-in-law of Nazarbayev, Timur Kulibayev, who is a king of oil and gas in Kazakhstan, decided to increase prices without consulting with people. And we all know that the poverty level is very high in Kazakhstan. So this drove people mad, and they came out to the streets. Now, this situation was actually used by provocators of Nazarbayev's relatives to make it look ugly, to burn buildings, so that the authorities would have a legitimate right to shoot. So these provocators, they made look these demonstrations bad. They started setting buildings on fire, like governors' offices, mayor's offices. So then that gave a right to president to say that we are going to open the fire, which is what he did. He invited CSTO forces from Russia and Belarus, who flew over to Kazakhstan and started shooting people on the streets. Very sad. So that's what are some people are cautious about, of course, that they are going to apply force, and they're going to use help of Russia. I heard recently that not by mistake, not just occasionally, but they are already in Kazakhstan, CSTO forces, because they are doing some military training very close to Almaty. And of course, it's not coincidence. And they brought some forces from Russia to make sure that there is no violence on the street. I don't think if the civil society will raise, there will be violence. Civil society is not about the violence. Again, it was not done by the civil society back in January, which I explained. It was done by provocators from ex-President Nazarbayev, who gave a right to Tokayev to shoot people on the streets just to keep things, to keep their foot down on people's heads. So there is a great chance for civil society to actually do not fall into the provocations and conduct their protest in organized manner. That is what I'm going to be urging people to do. With all my connections with the opposition and civil society in Kazakhstan, I will address the nation, I will address the people, and I will ask them not to conduct the violence and not to fall for provocations. If they want to go on the streets, they should be doing so in organized manner, but never give up. And yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell, that there is a civil society. Should it have sound and very good plan, then of course we will succeed.
Yeah. I'm not liking the sound of the fact that Russian forces are in Kazakhstan.
Yeah,
This is new to me.
that is very sad. And
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
I meant to tell you,
dangerous.
but that's very
Hmm.
good that we're able to discuss it. And
Yeah, I'm glad that it came out.
mhm,
Well, speaking of Tokayev, you said that provocators were there and you're urging the civic society to be organized. I personally do not see any way around it because, these propaganda tools are very good at doing what they do. And provocators can come and just act like they are the leaders or the what do you call it, the people, and they can just start the whole thing as is with people even being organized. So I'm not I mean, that's a great tactic, but at the same time, I think people should understand that these things will happen anyway because this is how they do these things.
yeah,
Anyway, we'll move on to the next stuff. I won't only wanted to add that the fact that Tokayev is a diplomat. He has all of that background. And I mean, at this point, it seems like he was groomed in Russia, right? That's what you're kind of hinting at.
yeah,
Same thing happened with Serdar. He was groomed in Russia since 2019, since we started our whole protests and all that stuff. He was going to Russia so many times, at least 10 times a
mhm,
year. And I think this is happening with every CIS country that we are, facing basically. Another point I wanted to add is that, you called it, let me see what, Jana Kazakhstan, I think you called it, right? The program. I
yeah,
mean, this came, I feel like Turkmenistan was a pioneer in these programs because this came with Sapar Murat Niyazov. He had like the golden age, he had this age and that age. And it seems like this is a way of propaganda of trying to control people. Like the five for these for such and such years, let's say 5 years, we will be
mhm,
implementing the golden age, Rana Kazakhstan, golden Turkmenistan, and people are just taking time on waiting and sitting and not doing anything basically because that kind of programs them,
all right,
brainwashes them into thinking, oh, okay, this program, we should probably see what is going to happen in this. So they're passive, they become passive. And I think Russia saw that it worked in Turkmenistan. Now it's implementing it everywhere, basically. And it seems like Kazakhstan started implementing the same thing. I just wanted
unfortunately.
to add on that, I guess. Now that we're talking about the nuclear plants, can we touch the environmental aspects of it? For example, Kazakhstan was the leader in Aral saving program. As I
Mhm.
know, as you know, we even went to some of the sessions and stuff, right? Can we talk about that? How come Kazakhstan is trying to save Aral, but on the other hand, it's bringing all of these dangerous type of programs?
Well, they've been trying to save Aral, but where is Aral right now? It's in the same level. I mean, we have many other ecological catastrophes, like you mentioned, death of Saigax. It's a type of deers, this deers that live in these steppe lands. So once Russians fire their missiles, the fuel from missiles uh, kills them all. So I mean, we find like the next day thousands of them dead bodies. And not a word is mentioned by Kazakh authorities, except of some members of parliament might be, raising their noise for an hour or two, and nothing happens after that. Again, nothing happened to Aral. All the international programs you've mentioned spend so many dollars to save Aral, and I think due to the corruption, uh, which is also very bad for international organizations, because they start working with corrupted guys as if there is nobody to work with. And the end result is, we see it, the end result. The situation is very bad. So that underlines the level of how authorities in Kazakhstan don't care about the nature preservation and only thinking about short-term profit. That was done by Nazarbayev when he was in power, and it is continued by Tokayev. And I think we recently spoke with you about these initiatives to return stolen money from Kazakhstan. So the only change will only happen when this money will start coming back to Kazakhstan and start being invested in such big, important projects, infrastructural project, nature preservation project, water supply. Is a big issue in Central Asia. Kazakhstan is a lot of steppe lands and we require a lot of water there. Kyrgyzstan has some water. It doesn't know how to manage it. I mean, like people do know how to manage it, but again, that's all in the hands of authorities. So what I was trying to say is that the international organizations, if they have some agenda, solid agenda, it should not be only left at the level of decision with the authorities, because authorities will steal money and do nothing. It should involve a wider circles of civil society. There should be some sort of transparency to investments in that area. So if they are, it is a continuation of this bad or ill initiatives. Aral, you mentioned whatever they were trying to do, with the presence of the Russian military bases that causes damage to the nature. Uh, Construction of nuclear plant, what Russians did with the nuclear testing site in Semipalatinsk, Semey now, for many, many years. Aral died because of the rivers that were turned away to Siberia. It was stupid plan of the Soviet Union, which that's what when you go against the nature, nature fires back. So the nature is responded by just people don't want me, I don't want to be there. So Aral died, and I'm quite sure that if this attitude continues, we are not going to leave anything to our descendants. We'll only leave problems. We will leave only rocks, stones, dry land, nothing else. So again, I mean, whatever is done is not done for the good of people, and that is why this continuation of these bad things presented as a good initiative for people, it is not quite so. Uh, it has some other meaning. It has the meaning of getting short-term profit, sending it to their bank accounts, but they don't care about the future.
Nurul, thank you so much for all of these discussions that you're providing us with. They're very interesting, they're very informative, educational. I think what we should also concentrate on is maybe in the future we can start providing some training to some people, starting from civic activism, going into constitutional stuff, and all
Yeah.
of that, basically. Another point that I wanted also to add is right here, right now, I would like for us to stress out about not only how bad the Putin regime is, but also those who call themselves as good Russians. They act in our names, in minority names, go on as far as to saying that they will hunt down those who are talking about decolonization of Russia. Well, here we are, all of us.